Good morning, children. Now we continue with the second video of History Chapter 2, from hunting to gathering. Yes, children. Here we have first study about the names and dates. Archaeologist has given lengthy names for the time that we are studying now. What they call in the earliest period, Paleolithic. This Paleolithic came from the which word? Greek word, paleo. What is the meaning of paleo? That is means old, and lithos is mean stone, means old stone. So the name points is more important to find out about the stone tools of the earlier period. The Paleolithic period extends how many years back? 2 million years ago. Can you remember? 2 millions ago to about 12,000 years ago. So this long stretch of time is divided into the lower three. This is divided into the three period. That is lower, middle and upper Paleolithic. This long span of lifetime covers 99% of the human history. Yes, got it? So the period when we find environmental changes in our environment, that is beginning about 12,000 years ago till about 10,000 years ago, is called Mesolithic. Mesolithic is what? Middle stone. First was the lower, second comes middle stone. Middle stone is called Mesolithic. That is 10,000 years ago. Stone tools found during this period, are generally very tiny and are called microliths. You know what is a microlith? Very small. Microliths. Microliths was probably stuck onto handles of bones or wood to make tools, such as saw and sickle. Saw and sickle, which used to usually to cutting the things. Saws and sickle. Saws used to cut the wood, and sickle used in agriculture to cut the grass. So at the same time, older varieties of tools continue to be in the use. Now the next stage, from about 10,000 years ago, that is known as Neolithic. You know what is Neolithic? First was Paleolithic, second Mesolithic, third is Neolithic. So what do you think the term Neolithic means? We have also mentioned the names of some places. You will find the names of many more places in later chapter. So very often we use present day names of the place where people live in the past, because we do not know what they called them earlier. Come on, children. Change in environment. We studied in this part that was changed in 12,000 years ago. There were major changes. What are the major changes in the climate of the world? That we shift to the relative warm condition. That was related to the shifting to the warm condition. In many areas, this led to the development of grassland. Due to the warm condition, that was the development of grassland. This in turn led to an increase in the number of deer, antelope, goat, sheep and cattle. That is animal that survives on this grass, that is on this grassland. So there are these animals that depend upon this grassland. Those who hunted these animals now followed them. What they followed? They learn about their food habits and their breeding season. What season? The breeding season. Which is the breeding season? So they followed the breeding season. So it is likely that this helped people to start thinking about the herding and rearing the animals on this grass themselves. So fishing also became as an important. Next, the beginning. Now they started with this environmental change, beginning of farming and herding. They started with doing farming and herding. So this was also a time when several grain-bearing grasses, the grasses which bear the grains, which grow the grains, including what? Here the grain was wheat, barley and rice, grew naturally in different parts of our subcontinents. In this, men, women and children probably collected these grains as the food for the eating, and learned where they grow, and learned how to grow, and started growing the crops. This different bearing grasses. This may have led them to think about growing plants on their own. In this way, people became the farmers. And in this way, they started growing the farms, and in this way, they became the farmers. Now, people could also attract and then tame animals. Tame animals means train the animals by leaving food for them near their shelters, giving food to them, taming them, keeping the animals, and feeding them with the foods. So the first animal to be tamed was what? Wild ancestors of dog. Later, people encouraged animals that were relatively gentle to come near the camps. They encourage so that they can tame. So these animals such as sheep, goat, cattle, and also the pigs, listeners, and most of them ate grass. Domestication. What is domestication? Is the name given to the process in which people grow plants and look after animals. Means take care of the animals. And very often plants and animals that are tended by the people to become different from wild plants and animals. Means they have to behave away from the wild plants and animals. This is because people select plants and animals for their domestication. People used to select the plants and animals, the which plants to be chosen and which animals to be domesticated. For example, they select those plants and animals that are not prone to disease. Means the plants which are not prone to disease, and they select the plant that yield large grain, large size of the plants which can give you the large size of grains, and have strong stalks capable of bearing the weight of the ripe grain. Ripe means to complete ripen. So seeds from selected plants are preserved and sown to ensure that new plants and seed will have the same qualities what were the earlier plants. So among the animals, this was the plants. Now among the animals, those that are relatively gentle are selected for breeding. As a result, gradually domesticated animals and plants become different from wild animals. Yes, wild animals and domestic animals have the difference. For example, the teeth and horns of the wild animals are usually much larger than those of the domesticated animals. Domestication was gradually process that took places in many parts of the world. It began about how many years? 12,000 years ago. So it's virtually all the plants and animals produced that we use as food today is a result of this. This is due to the result of that domestication. Now what the plants, animals which they use eating as a food. So some of the earliest plants to be domesticated were wheat and barley. The earlier domestic animals include sheep and goat. So you got it? What is the earliest plants domesticated? Wheat and barley. And earliest animal domesticated? Sheep and goat. So this is a new way of life. If you plant a seed, we'll notice that it takes some time to grow. This may be for several days, weeks, months. Understood? So it means that they had to stay in the same place for a long time, looking after the plants, watering, feeding, driving away animals and birds till the grain ripens, and the grain had to be used carefully. Now, we said about the grains and about the grains and animals. Okay, now storing animals. Animals multiply naturally, means about the breedings they get it multiplied, because if they are looked after carefully, they provide milk, which is an important source of food for us now, and meat as well. Whenever required, we use food and meat as well as milk also. So animals that are reared can be used as a store of the food. So apart from the food, what are the other things that could have been obtained from the animals? What are the animals used for? This is the question for you. Okay. Now finding out about the first farmers and herders. You can see in the map on page number 13. You will notice a number of blue squares, which I told in the earlier video. So each mark has a site from where archaeologists have found evidence. These are the archaeologists who found the evidence of the earlier farmers and herders. You can find in the blue square in the page number, map of page number 13. So these are found all over the subcontinent. Some of the most important ones are in the northwest part of India, that is present day Kashmir, and in the east and in the south India down. So to find out whether these sites were settlements of farmers and herders, scientists what they done? They studied about the evidence. Evidence of what? Plants and animals' bones. One of the most exciting finds include remains the burnt grain, the burnt what is burnt that remains. Understood? They may have been burnt accidentally or by the purposely also. So scientists can identify these grains, and so we know that a number of crops were grown in different parts of the subcontinents. Many different plant species are being grown in different part of the our country or the subcontinent. They can also be identified bones of different animals. Okay. Yes, children, come on. Stone tools have been found from many sites as well. Many of these are different from earlier Paleolithic tools, and they are called Neolithics. This include tools that were polished to give a fine cutting edge, while polished to give a smooth and fine cutting edge, and mortars and pestles used for grinding grains. To grind the grain, they use these tools, these stone tools, and other plant produce. Mortars and pestles are used for grinding grains even today also. Several thousand years later, at the same time, tools of Paleolithic type continue to be made and used, and remember some tools were also made up of bones and as well as stone. Come on, find the Megra on the map on page 13. This site is located in a fertile plain. Fertile plain is the plain, the land which is used for crops and agriculture. That were near the Bolan Pass, which is the most important routes into Iran, present day Iran. Megra was probably one of the places where people learned to grow these crops, barley and wheat. And what they used to rear sheep and goats for the first time in this area, in this Bolan Pass area. So it was the one of the earliest village. It is also the earliest village that we know about it. About this site, many animal bones were found, bones of wild such as deer and pig, and also bones of sheep and goats were found. So the finds at Megras include remains at the square of rectangular house. So children, this is the conclusion of the chapter number 2. So inshallah we'll meet in the next class with the new chapter. Okay, so till then, goodbye, have a nice day. Thank you.